Servus Leute, da ist der Bolzer-Toni. Ich bin gerade im Bad Hindelang im wunderschönen Allgäu und wir machen heute für euch einen Streckencheck vom Prolog vom Red Race 120. 6,8 Kilometer, 340 Höhenmeter, pure Gewalt. Und weil ich das nicht allein machen mag und einen motivierten Kollegen brauche, habe ich einen Emil Herzog dabei, World Tour Profi, Allgäuer Bürgermeister.
Also wir probieren da hoch jetzt gleich mal eine Referenzzeit zu setzen. Der Streckenrekord vom letzten Jahr war 13,31. Wir geben uns jetzt da gleich voll die Kante und schauen jetzt mal, ob wir das unterbieten können. Wir haben auf jeden Fall Bock.
Schauen wir uns richtig in die Fresse, Emil. Geht! So, Start ist erfolgt. Gleich eine lange Geraden. Zeit zum Rhythmus finden. Emil dreht gut. Ganz wichtig jetzt. Gleich einen guten Tritt finden. Nicht überpassen. Weil das ist zwar nicht lang, aber sind doch für die schnellsten 12-13 Minuten. Jetzt ein bisschen flacher Richtung Spitzkern. Der erste Kilometer ist drin, jetzt wird es flacher und technischer. Ja, geil, Emil! Wow, schön heißen! Ist lang. Erste Spitzkehr, noch 1,5 Kilometer. Scheiße, ist das hart. Was war die Rekordzeit?
Ja, den haben wir schon.
13,26 haben wir gehabt. Ist das schnell? 415 war Schnitt.
Ich habe hier 55 gehabt. Es war sau hart. Vor allem, ich denke, weil wir halt nur zur Zeit waren, weil das ist ja doch nicht so steil. Da macht der Windschatten schon relativ viel. Ich glaube, wir haben die Zeit ganz knapp geknackt. Aber mich würde es nicht wundern, wenn irgendjemand von euch das dieses Jahr rockt und ja, unsere Zeit doch knackt. Was meinst du, Toni?
Streckencheck, Prolog. Ja, wirklich unfassbare harte 6,5 Kilometer. Ja, Emil war super motiviert vom Start. Ich bin eigentlich nur auf seinem Hinterradl draufgehängt. War froh, dass ich es halten habe können. 13,26 auf der Uhr. Ja, pushen, nie aufgeben. Wie gesagt, es wird lang. Aber irgendwann ist das Ziel in Sicht und macht auf alle Fälle wahnsinnig viel Spaß da aufzufahren, weil ich kenne wirklich ganz wenig so schöne Passstraßen. Das ist mega cool, weil durch das, dass es einfach nicht so steil ist, 5% im Schnitt, hat man doch wirklich eine hohe Geschwindigkeit. Also wir haben jetzt einen 30er Schnitt da aufgefahren und das ist dann schon bergauf, macht einfach wahnsinnig viel Spaß.
I'm going to show you how to deep clean and detail a bike. I'm talking about next level cleaning that will decontaminate, restore and protect the paint, but also get all those little tiny components and bits of dirt that you might forget about and make the whole bike as good as new. And in some cases, well, potentially even better than it was new. But why would you do this? Well, if you're like me, your bike's your pride and joy and you want it to look as good as possible. But also, you might be someone who's selling a bike, and by spending this extra time and effort to make it look as good as possible, you can potentially get more money for it. We're going to show you some cool tricks here, because I think the before and after of this bike will blow you away. To do this, I've come to learn from some masters, the experts at G-Technic. G-Technic are leaders in car cleaning, but have also applied their expertise into bike cleaning and support us here at GCN. And I've brought a dirty bike. Unfortunately, none of my bikes were sufficiently dirty. I tend to keep them pretty clean, but I've found size Pinarello, which, true to size, is pretty filthy right now. So, this is the bike we're going to clean. So as I said, deep cleaning and detailing is also about protecting the paint. Now, the first step we're going to do is just apply some bike clean spray onto the bike, let that sit for a minute, which will help loosen a load of the dirt that's on there, and then we'll rinse that off, and that'll take a load of the surface dirt off. The reason why this is important, because if we just went straight away onto cleaning the bike as it is now, we're going to be then rubbing that dirt and little grains of sand into the paint, into the lacquer, and just damaging it and marring it and scratching it. So we're not going to do that. So spraying the bike clean on there, we're going to leave it on for a minute once it's covered, and it's just going to loosen the dirt so that then when we rinse it, it should just lift most of it off. And well, if you were in a hurry and you were just doing a quick bike clean, this is potentially all you need to do. Just rinse it off and it's going to get 90% of the dirt off there. But today we're doing a deep clean, so we're going to go to the next level. But you will see. Now we're going to rinse. The key thing is here, I've not had to use a brush, and I would just highly recommend you don't use a brush on your bike because it's going to put little scratches and swirl marks and damage and mar the paint and the lacquer. We don't want that. And we've lifted off most of the dirt just by putting the bike clean on and rinsing it off. And if you were to dry your bike now with a towel, it'd be pretty good. You're good to go. So if you were in a rush, you didn't have time for a deep clean, then you could just do that. But we're going to deep clean. We're going to take it to the next level. So next up, we're going to do a contact wash. For this, I'm going to take the wheels out because taking the wheels out just gives you more access to a lot of hard to reach areas that often get missed if you're doing a quick clean. And we can clean the wheels more effectively as well. I'm also going to remove the chain because that'll get a fresh re-wax. So now I'm just going to go over the bike with the wash mitt. Now, wash mitts like this, absolutely fantastic because they are brilliant at getting into all the little nooks and crannies on your bike, but also they're just really soft and nice to touch. And that's good for your paint as well, because unlike the harsh sort of brush, it is not going to be scratching and damaging your paint. And this is one of the innovations that's come from detailing and cleaning cars. And people are very conscientious when it comes to cleaning their cars. They don't want to get scratches on cars at all. Not everyone's the same when it comes to cleaning their bikes though. Now, keen viewers may remember that I actually did ceramic coat size bike when it was new, and doing the surface contact wash with the mitt like this serves another purpose, because that ceramic coat, you can see, is still working. When we were rinsing the bike before, there was some wonderful beading action happening with the water, particularly around the head tube area. But over time, your ceramic coat does get contaminated because it does still have microscopic imperfections and pores in it. But doing a contact wash with a mitt like this and a good shampoo helps unclog those pores, a bit like your skin, and helps lift all that dirt out. And that will just reinvigorate the ceramic coat and get it performing back to its best. Wash mitts are also fantastic for cleaning your wheels because it's easy to just get in between all of the spokes and clean the spokes as well. People often forget about the spokes, but they get dirt on them as well. And all the little gaps in between where the spokes go on the rim, people often miss that little bit. You clean your bike and you still, once you've dried it, you see this dirt still there. People are good at getting the side, but those little gaps, and we want to get it all. The challenge is to have no dirt on here. I want it to be spick and span. Something else to point out is you should be careful when you clean your disc brakes because some products aren't designed for disc brakes and they will contaminate them, which can mean you have really squealy brakes next time you ride your bike. However, this particular bike shampoo is disc brake compatible. It's got degreasers in it, and it'll help break down any contamination or residue that's on there. So we're going to clean them and also get right in on the hubs, because that is another area that people often miss. You have a clean bike, but then you have a bit of dirt on your hubs still. You may have noticed when I just did that, I didn't use a jet wash. Now, there's kind of a couple of reasons for that. Well, firstly, you don't need to. You can see when you're using good quality shampoos, it effectively lifts the dirt off. It's not necessary to use a powerful jet wash. And the other reason is because of research that's been done by the likes of Ceramic Speed. I now know that when you jet wash, even indirectly, it gets water into your bearings and kills them. Nothing quicker kills bearings than jet washing. So personally, I don't do that now. And yeah, you can see. Now the next step is really important. We are going to dry the bike with a towel. Now, the reason why this is a pro step that people do when detailing and cleaning bikes properly is because if you don't, especially if you live in a hard water area, it will leave water spots all over the bike, which doesn't look very good. So we're going to dry them and remove that. Getting in all the nooks and crannies with the towel, in and around the bottle cages. You can also remove the bottle cages, but I can get good access without removing these ones. I've brought it inside the workshop now, here at G-Technic Mega Base, so I can do a bit more of the fine details. I'm also going to remove the derailleurs so I can give those a real nice deep clean on the bench. And they've got a compressor in here. I wish I had a compressor at home, because this, if you're doing next level cleaning, these are so useful, especially with like the drying of little nooks and crannies on components and things like inside here on the headset, just getting rid of that last little bit of water, which could otherwise, well, cause a bit of corrosion and rust if it was left in there. So I'm gonna compress. Size Bike has got ceramic speed little jockey wheels in there. When I blast these with the compressed air, this is actually incredible. Listen to this, and they spin up so fast because the bearings are so good. Listen. Look at that! That's amazing. Right, I'm just going to whip off the derailleurs just so I can give those a bit of a deeper clean. And the other thing I'm going to whip off is the chain set, because it's very easy to take the chain set off and it just gives you such better access. You can see by taking the chain set off and the derailleurs that, well, there's just dirt that's hidden underneath them that is otherwise really hard to get. I mean, I gave that a really good clean, but you can still see here, there's this dirt around here and here. And also this particular spot of the chain set, you can't reach it, it's just notorious. It always has dirt there. So if you're doing a deep clean, take the chain set off and you can then really clean it. Now you might have noticed that I've not sort of done a degreaser step yet on the drivetrain, and that's because I haven't really had to, because Si is using wax chains, and one of the big advantages of wax chains is that it helps keep everything cleaner. What you do get periodically over time, you don't get that black, horrible, gloopy grinding paste everywhere, but what you do get is a slight build-up of wax residue. Now this, from a performance standpoint, isn't detrimental, it's not bad, but it can build up quite a lot over the time, especially if you're using drip-on waxes. And so we are going to want to sort of make sure that's sort of removed off the jockey wheels in particular, and off the teeth on the cassette. We'll give them a nice clean. See, we've got little bits of wax residue just here, not much. But yeah, just with a bit of cleaner and a microfiber, you can just rub that off quite easily. For the rear derailleur, I'm just using a detailing brush on here, and also a mixture of using a bit of the frame prep, which is just isopropyl alcohol, and then just some more of the bike clean as well. Because with the main thing that's on here, there's a bit of little dirt in some nooks and crannies, but the main thing is just that little bit of like wax residue. And the nice thing about that is, I mean, degreaser's not particularly kind of what you want to get rid of it. It's not designed for that, but just, you can just use sort of hot water and some liquid to help sort of loosen it, and then just sort of mechanically getting it off with a microfiber works well. If you have loads of gunk built up on your jockey wheels, then the classic technique is actually just to use a flathead screwdriver and then just push it against it. But size don't have much on at all, so that isn't necessary. I can just do it with a microfiber. If you're doing a deep clean, I'd always recommend taking the cassette off. Dead easy to do, just with a cassette lock ring tool and a chain whip, because then it gives you access to each individual sprocket. And you can see here, there's just that little bit of sort of wax residue on the teeth of the sprockets that I was telling you about. But that's easily removed once we've taken it off. I've put the bits back on the bike. I put the wheels on though, that's for a good reason. That's because the next thing I'm gonna do, just to finish off the cleaning process, is put some ceramic quick coat on. Now this is different from a normal ceramic coat, which is already on the bike, that's covalently bonded to the surface of the paint or the lacquer. It's much more hard wearing. This stuff can be used to top up a ceramic coat or just be used on its own. It's really quick to apply. You just simply spray it on a microfiber and then buff it on the frame. But you don't want to get this stuff on your brake pads or rotors because it can contaminate them. So that's why I've not got the wheels in at the moment. It'll make life easier. So spray some on a cloth like this, wet it out. And then we're just going to get that on the frame. Now you may have seen in the past, there's things that people might think are similar to this, like sort of silicone sprays and stuff that people spray on their bike like it's going out of fashion. But the problem with those things is they're quite sticky. So they actually attract dirt. If you've ever used them, you'll know what I'm talking about. Whereas this stuff's not. And it just applies a very thin layer to the surface that just makes it really hydrophobic, which will help stop that dirt sticking. And also, it just sort of, by using a clean microfiber and just sort of buffing it on, you're sort of giving the surface a little bit of a polish and it just looks really, really nice. There you go. I'm pretty pleased with that, and I actually enjoy cleaning bikes. I think if I wasn't a GCN presenter, I might just clean bikes all the time. Something quite therapeutic about doing it. I hope Si appreciates his new clean bike, and well, the good news is that even if he does commute on it down the Bristol to Bath bike path through the mud and the sludge and the detritus that is down there, it will stay much cleaner than it ordinarily would because it's coated and protected. So brilliant. Right, if you've got any questions about bike cleaning, get them in the comment section down below and we'll do our best to answer them. And I'm gonna go now and give Si his bike back, which is now cleaner than my bikes. Love you, bye.
The Tour de France, cycling's biggest and best race, kicks off this coming Saturday, the 4th of July, in Barcelona in Spain.
Pogacar, Vingegaard, Lipovic, Del Toro, Evenepoel, Ayuso and more. The GC field is stacked this year and there are a whole load of world-class sprinters and attackers as well. You do not want to miss this edition.
Coming up, we're going to talk through all the main players and protagonists and look at every single one of the 21 stages that make up the race this year. But first, let's get ourselves in the mood by looking back at what happened 12 months ago.
So, Tadej Pogacar taking his 4th win at the race from 6 participations, convincingly beating 2-time winner Jonas Vingegaard.
Between the two of them, they've not only won the last 6 editions, they've been 1st and 2nd in the last 5 of them, something that's never happened before in Tour de France history. This year, they might not be so far ahead of the rest because there is a new super talent in town. More on that later on in the show.
First, let us talk you through the route of the 113th edition of the race. So in total, 3,333 kilometres with over 54,000 metres of elevation gain. Further to that, they have a total of 136 kilometres of neutralised starts, which is like an extra stage in itself.
It is, yeah, another 136 Ks. Now, there is a team time trial on the opening day.
The Triple T, as they call it in Australia.
Oh, yes, I did hear that the other day, Triple T. And one individual time trial in the final week of the race, then 7 flat stages and 4 hilly, 8 stages in the high mountains, 2 more than last year, and 5 of those are summit finishes.
And those summit finishes are at Gavarnie-Gèdre, Plateau de Solaizon, Orsières-Merlet and Alpe d'Huez.
Twice. 2 days in a row. They do get 2 rest days as well, though, which come on the 2nd and 3rd Mondays of the 3-week race.
OK, let us go on to stage 1, the TTT.
Triple T.
The Triple T in Barcelona. And it kicks off what is a really tough and complicated first week of racing. It's just under 20 Ks and flat for the first 15 of those.
But after that, there are 2 climbs. Both of them around 1 kilometre long at around 6%. And the first actually be quite familiar to those of you who watch the Vuelta a Catalunya, as it's been used there many times before, although more recently, in that race, they do tend to use the opposite side.
The climb to the finish is a really important one, and that is because of a change in the rules for the TTT.
Done it again. Triple T. You
for the
with.
Triple T. In the past, in the Tour de France, the riders were given the time of the 4th or 5th rider across the line. This year, each rider is given their own time as they cross the line. And so it's all about getting your team leader or leaders to that finish line as fast as possible.
Yeah, so it's something that we've seen in Paris-Nice and the Dauphiné over the past couple of years, where the race organisers have been experimenting. And I'm a fan, I've got to say. I do find it a little more entertaining than the standard Triple T.
Yeah, and being new, it doesn't feel like every team has got the strategy completely dialed just yet either. Anyway, the rider who covers the course in the quickest time will end the day in the leader's yellow jersey. And there will be some time gaps among the GC favourites, albeit probably not too big.
We're not expecting massive time gaps, are we? I'd imagine Visma will probably start as the favourite for that opening stage, although Van Aert is unfortunately absent. OK, stage 2, the first road stage of the race. This one goes from Tarragona to Barcelona, over 168 kilometres.
It's one of the 4 hilly stages in this year's race, with a total of just over 2,000 metres of elevation gain. The biggest of the climb comes around halfway, the Côte de Béguez, as the race organisers are calling it.
They like to add Côte, whatever country they're in, don't they?
Yes, they do.
That climb is 6 Ks at 6.5%. From there, it's on rolling terrain and then onto a finishing circuit that they cover 3 times. And each lap, they'll go up the Montjuic climb in Barcelona, but from the opposite side to the team... To the Triple T.
To the Triple T, yeah. Definitely not one for the sprinters, given that the climb is 1.6K at 9.3%. Now, will we get any significant gaps on the GC? Possibly, because it is a tough effort, and there could also be some surprises. There are often riders who have an unexplained off day in the opening few days of the race.
There are, yeah. At the very least, those GC riders will have to be attentive, won't they? Because it's not just hilly, but also reasonably technical. But it could be cagey coming so early in the Tour de France this year.
Yeah, and especially because they're already onto a mountain stage the day after. So it's the second longest stage of the race, 196 kilometres from Granollers, just north of Barcelona, to Les Angles in France. There are almost 4,000 metres of climbing to tackle that day.
Now, the first major climb is... I have to be a little bit careful with this name, Si. It is the Col de Toses. 9.3 kilometres at 6.5%. It's been given first category status, but it is not brutal by any means.
After it, there are 2 third category climbs, one of which is to the finish. However, given it's 1.7K at 6.5%, time gaps between the GC favourites will be small, if there are even any time gaps at all.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting stage, that one. If it came deeper into the race, you could almost guarantee it would be a breakaway win. But coming on the 3rd stage this year, Sort of just depends, I think, who's in yellow jersey at the time. After the Triple T, that might well be a GC favourite who's in the leader's jersey, of course, and so they might be keen to loan it to another rider so that their team has more responsibility of controlling the race.
Yeah. Stage 4 starts in Carcassonne, and 182 kilometres and 2,700 metres of climbing later finishes in Foix.
It does, yeah. One of my favourite places to ride a bike, Foix.
You know what? One of my favourite places as well.
Is it?
I love it out there, yeah.
We've been together 13 years. We didn't know we had the same favourite place. Anyway, this is a stage that I think is going to be a lot tougher than it looks on paper, and you'll know this, Si. There are 4 categorised climbs, and although the hardest is only a second category, the roads around there are narrow, technical, and deceptively hard.
Yeah.
At least they were for me.
I was going to say, I thought they were quite easy. Bunch sprints coming up that day then.
Yeah, we found it hard, but perhaps they won't.
Yeah, no, completely agree. The roads are narrow in places from what we've seen on Google Street View, and there is every chance it'll be brutally hot there in the Pyrenees.
Or freezing cold with sideways rain.
Yeah.
One or the other. Now, last time a stage finished in Foix, Canada's Hugo Hu won from the breakaway, but that was at the end of a much harder day, which came in the final week of the race. This one, well, again, I think it could be from a breakaway. There's certainly no point in the GC teams controlling the day beyond staying safe and, I guess, making sure nobody dangerous gets up the road that day.
Okay, stage 5 then, and we think this is going to be the first opportunity for the pure sprinters. 158 kilometres from Lannemezan to Pau. There is a third category climb with 26 Ks to go. But although it's 9%, it's only 1 Ks long. So all of the sprinters should get over it.
1 Ks. Nice.
1K?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There are some open flat roads throughout the day that day, though. So if there's enough wind in the right direction, there could be a lot of nervousness about splits. The last kilometre of that stage is flat, but on a reasonably narrow road for a sprint, so positioning early will be important that day.
Yeah, it's a bit squeaky, that one, isn't it? Now, it is back into the Pyrenees and the high mountains for stage 6, and our first excursion over 2,000 metres of altitude. One of only 2 stages, in fact, that go over that altitude in the whole race.
On this occasion, it's over the most used climb, or at least mountain, in the history of the race, the Col du Tourmalet. This year, they tackle it from the northeastern side, which is 17.1 Ks at 7.3%. But before they even get there, there's quite a lot of climbing to be done.
There is a 4th and a 3rd cat in the first 80 kilometres, then the Col d'Aspin, which itself is 12 kilometres at 6.5%. That's one of my favourites, Tim.
Is it?
That one, yeah. Is it yours?
I don't remember. I've probably ridden it at some point.
You probably would think it was your favourite if you could remember
Yeah.
it. And then, it's on to the Tourmalet. The first rider over the top will be the awarded the Souvenir Jacques Godet, the director of the race for 50 years from 1936.
Yeah, quite incredible to be a race director for 50 years.
Yeah, isn't it?
Then, after a long descent from the top of the Tourmalet, they'll tackle the Gavany-Gedre. Did you say?
Gedre, I thought it was.
Gavany-Gedre. Whilst long that climb at almost 19 kilometres, the average gradient is only 3.7%. So this is going to be quite an interesting one from a tactical perspective.
Interesting geography as well, Gavany.
Is it? I didn't know that.
Big famous cirque at Gavany. Yeah. Anyway, it does get steeper near the top, but only marginally, okay? Now, if one of the GC favourites has managed to go solo over the Tourmalet, there is a chance that they could really extend their gap to the finish, because it's exactly the sort of climb where there will be no cohesion amongst the GC riders.
Yeah, exactly, with those sorts of gradients. And then likewise, I guess, if some of the GC favourites are together at the bottom of that final climb, there also might be a lack of cohesion in that front group, which could allow others to get back on. So it's going to be an interesting one, particularly since that climb has never ever been used at the Tour de France before now.
Yeah, 4,100 metres of climbing that day, in case you were wondering. Only 1 stage has more than that this year. The following 2 stages, though, both look like they're opportunities for the sprinters.
I'll be pleased about that. The first is to Bordeaux, 175 kilometres with under 1,000 metres of climbing. Again, there is a small climb with 45k to go, but only 4.4% average, so virtually nothing really for these riders. Much of the stage is tree-lined from what I've seen, so protected from the wind, but there is always a chance if it's strong enough on such a flat day.
Yeah, there is a little more climbing on stage 8 to Bergerac at 1,150 metres of elevation. And the 2 categorised climbs, though, aren't anything to worry the sprinters either. So this should be another one for the fast twitch riders.
The fast twitch riders. They'll just have to watch out, I guess, for dangerous breakaways, because more and more we are seeing big teams and very strong riders wanting to go up the road on days just like that. And if you get the right combination of riders, they can be extremely difficult to bring back before the end.
Okay, stage 9 wraps up the first block of racing, and they will be back into the hills that day as well. At this point, they'll be heading into central France, which can be like a bit of an oven that time of year, can't it?
It can be horrific. 185 k's from Malamort to Ussel with 3,300 metres of climbing. This one has to be for the breakaway, I reckon. It's constantly up and down on twisty, often narrow roads. It has all the markings of a very, very tough day in the saddle for everyone. On this one, I say only the strongest will survive and thrive.
Do you reckon that could be one of those days where it just takes ages for the break to go?
I reckon it will be, yeah.
Everyone will be on their
trying
knees.
to sniff it out that day.
Yeah. Right, after a rest day spent in Cantal, they will resume on Tuesday the 14th of July, which is Bastille Day in France, with a 166-kilometre stage in the mountains.
Yes, 6 categorised climbs in total, 3 third cat, 1 second cat and 2 first cats, adding up to 3,800 metres of elevation gain.
The longest of the climbs is only 8 kilometres at 6%. That is the primeiros pas de piorou. But despite the lack of famous mountains, this is going to be another savage day where you cannot relax physically or mentally.
Few people remember that section of climbs at the end because those final 3 climbs are the same as the final 3 on that stage in 2024, where Pogacar went on sort of a fairly long-distance solo raid, only for Vingegaard to get back to him and then narrowly beat him in the sprint.
Is that the stage where Roglic crashed as well?
That's on that last little descent, it was, yeah. And I think he was given the same time as the guy he was with because there was a 3K rule that day, strangely. Anyway.
Yeah.
Right, they are in the Massif Central for that particular stage. Anyone who's watched the Tour de France in the past will know how tough those roads are. And there'll be a lot of riders keen to make their mark there too, because the following 2 stages are again flat.
Stage 11 starts just north of Clermont-Ferrand in Vichy, and 161 kilometres later, they arrive in Nevers. There are 1,400 metres of climbing that day, and the finish does actually look fairly straightforward. So fingers crossed for a clean sprint.
Fingers crossed, yeah. There is a little bit more climbing the following day on stage 12, 1,800 metres. And there is also a 4th cat climb with 17 k's to go, but we think most of the sprinters will get over that. The finish in Chalon-sur-Saône is wide, relatively straight roads again, so it should be another sprint.
Yeah, Dylan Groenewegen won the stage the last time we had a Tour de France finish there, all the way back in 2019. Okay, then we head on to the longest stage, at least by distance, if not duration, which is the hilly 206 kilometres from Dole to Belfort.
Well, hilly is how the organisers describe it, but there's only one real climb on the route, and it's more of a mountain in my opinion. The Ballon d'Alsace, 9 k's at 7%, which peaks with 30 k's to go.
Now, there could be an almighty fight to get into the breakaway that day, because the opening 100 kilometres or more on flat roads then opens up pretty much to every rider who wants to try and get up the road. So it's probably worth tuning in to watch the opening part of that stage live if you can.
You know what's going to happen now? The break will go after 1K. You said that.
Probably, yeah.
Thibaut Pinot has the Strava KOM on the Ballon d'Alsace, local to him, of course. He took that on a training ride in 2020. This northern side actually hasn't been used at the Tour de France in a very long time. It was quite a regular feature in the very early years of the race, first appearing actually in 1905.
You got a good memory, Dan.
Yes, didn't see it live at the time, so but I think I picked up the highlights on Channel 4 that day.
Niche Brit joke there. Okay, stage 14, mountainous this one, from Mulhouse to Le Markstein, over 155 kilometres. There are 3 first category climbs. The Grand Ballon, the Ballon d'Alsace, the same side for the second time in 2 days, and then finally the Col du Arc.
Ballon d'Alsace is like buses size, isn't it? It's been used for ages. 2 come along at once. Anyway, there's quite a distance between those 2 final climbs, around 40 kilometres. The hard climb is 11 k's at 7.3%, and although it's not a summit finish that day, there's also not a descent after that climb. They sort of stay on a plateau for the final 6 kilometres to the finish. It was on those roads that Thibaut Pinot had his last Tour de France hurrah back in 2023.
There you go. The volume of fans that day was pretty bonkers,
wasn't it? Charts, yeah.
Anyway, another tough stage, you've got to say, 3,800 metres of climbing. And there is more to come on stage 15, which goes to the Plateau de Solaizon, which is 184 kilometres long, that stage, with 4,000 metres of climbing.
And on that stage, the climbing is more weighted to the end of it. So this will be a true GC fight. So after 136 Ks, they'll crest the Col de la Croisette, only 4.6 Ks long, but over 11% average gradient. Then there's some rolling terrain through to the final climb, which is 11.3 Ks at 9%.
Those of you who watched the race, formerly known as the Dauphiné, a few weeks ago, will recognise that climb. It's where Isaac Del Toro rode to stage and overall victory at the end of the last day of racing. But this will be the first time it's been used at the Tour de France.
It will be, yeah. Yeah, that was a tough climb on the day, wasn't it, back in June? So we will see time gaps, particularly after so much tough racing in the legs already by that point. And they'll be pleased for the rest day that follows. And so some riders will have a relatively easy day on stage 16 too, because it's the only individual time trial of the race.
This one is 26 kilometres long, but there is a 9.7 kilometre climb from the start, which is on the shoreline of Lake Geneva.
Yeah, maybe nobody's going to have an easy day that day.
No, not at all. Now, I mean, it is only 4.3% average gradient, but still, they will then descend, fortunately, back down to the same altitude at which they started, and then it's a flat run of about 9 kilometres to the finish, which is also next to Lake Geneva.
Yeah, like a third and a third and a third, isn't it? Climbing, descending, flat. It's going to be a good day, that one. Remco Evenepoel will probably start as favourite if he's still in the race, but this deep into a Grand Tour, and with that climb at the start, you just never know.
No, big day for the general classification, though, either way. Now, it's not all about the GC in the final week, though. Stage 17 from Chambéry to Voiron offers opportunities for the attackers and the sprinters.
Yeah, I thought that, because it's billed as a flat day despite 2,200 metres of climbing and 4 categorised climbs. They all come in the first half of the stage, which you'd think would be good for the sprinters, but it's probably not, because it makes it really hard for them to control.
Yeah, by that point in the race, there is a decent chance that a few of the big-name sprinters will have already abandoned as well, right, which means fewer teams to control over tough terrain. And then there'll probably be a few desperate teams determined to get up the road and get someone out of the race as well.
Yeah, there's always desperate times in the last week of a Grand Tour, isn't there? Plus, even if they do bring the break back, there's a 2.6k 4% climb that only ends with 3.5 k's of the stage remaining. I like the look of that stage, personally. It's got something for everyone. I think that's going to be a very exciting day.
Yeah, OK, put it in your diaries. Stage 18 to Orsières-Merlet definitely will not be for the sprinters. For me, the official race profile doesn't really do it justice, I don't think. There is a first category climb near the start that looks no more than a bump.
Yeah, it looks funny.
But it's 11.4 kilometres long at 5.4%.
After that, it's rolling for most of the 185 kilometres, but with a first cat summit finish. Pogačar will know this one. He actually finished second to Roglic there back in 2020, his first Tour de France victory, but it was a sprint from 15 riders at the end of that day, which gives a sense of the severity of the climb, or not. 7.1 Ks at 6.7%. So definitely not the toughest of climbs, especially when you see what they've got to deal with over the next 2 stages.
Yes, this is now crunch time, isn't it? Nearly 3 weeks in. Stage 19 heads to Alpe d'Huez, probably the most famous climb in all of cycling.
I'd say so, wouldn't you?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. It's a stage of, I was going to say it's a stage of 2 halves, but it's more like a stage of 3/3. There is a lot of climbing in the first part, with a second and a first cat in the first 25 kilometres. Then it's flat to rolling for 60 kilometres or so before 2 climbs at the end. The first is the Col d'Ornon, 5.4 Ks, 6.4%, before the big one.
The big one, yeah. Most of you probably know the stats of Alpe d'Huez, but we'll remind you anyway. 13.8 kilometres, 8.1% average gradient, with its famous 21 hairpin bends. This is a climb that has made and broken legends of the sport over the years. I cannot wait for that day. It's actually been 4 years since they last used it.
4 years?
At the Tour de France.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, so Pidcock was actually the last winner in the men's race there.
Wow. OK. It's a shorter stage, that one as well, at 128 kilometres. Do you think they'll get the record on Alpe d'Huez this year?
Good question. It will help them that it's a shorter stage, but it is still hard before they get there.
I think that could be a little carrot for Pogačar, Strava KOM at the end of it.
Yeah, despite all he's won, there's quite a few carrots there for him still.
Yeah. Anyway, they'll be thankful for the fact that it's short, not only to help them get the Strava KOM, but also because stage 20 is actually the Queen stage, or more like it, the Super Queen stage.
Yeah, good description. 171 Ks with a first category climb and 3 all category climbs. They start with the Col de la Croix de Fer, which comes right at the beginning of the stage, 24 kilometres at 5.2%. It takes them from 800 metres above sea level to over 2,000.
It's an absolute monster, that, isn't it? And it's got quite an irregular gradient as well. After that, there was an equally long descent, thankfully, back down to 600 metres above sea level, and then the double punch of the Telegraph and the Galibier. Now, most of you will remember that that is the place where Jonas Vingegaard and Primož Roglic tried to crack Pogačar, unsuccessfully on those two climbs, although he did then crack on the climb to the finish that day, which was the Col de Granon.
That's right, yeah. Not the Granon that they finish on this occasion, though, but rather the Col de Sarenne, which is effectively the non-traditional side of Alpe d'Huez, joining that main climb close to the top. That one's 12.8 Ks at 7.3%, so quite a similar test to the Granon, there or thereabouts.
Feels like Alpe d'Huez's backside, doesn't it?
Yeah,
the Sarenne.
Yeah, that's the one.
Now, I think Pogačar is probably going to have a real point to prove that day.
Another carrot,
isn't he? Yeah, exactly. He lost the Tour in 2022 on that
stage,
equivalent stage. And then he's going to want to put that to rest, isn't he? And basically show that he is the boss, as if we had any doubts.
I'm definitely not going to argue with that, Si. Anyway, it's going to be a brutal day for everybody still in the race because there's 5,500 metres of climbing. And by the end of that stage, they'll have ascended close to 13,000 metres in just 3 days.
Professional cycling is definitely not for lazy people, is it?
No, you could say that, yeah.
Right, on to the 21st and the final stage, which heads to the traditional finish line on the Champs-Élysées in Paris.
Yeah, traditional finish line, but not traditional finish lap side, at least not just yet anyway. Last year, you might remember, the race organisers introduced the Montmartre climb to the finishing circuit, which had been used at the Olympics in 2024, and it is back again this year.
I'm glad. You can see why they brought it back. Last year's stage was epic.
Was it?
The fans lining the road on that climb was something else.
Despite the weather, yeah.
Yeah, the sprinters might not like it, but the fans definitely did.
At least most of them. As a reminder, Pogačar was attacking there, but ultimately couldn't follow Wout van Aert when he made his move on the final time up it. And I've got to say, like you said, it was a fantastic stage to watch.
It was, yeah. Van Aert isn't racing this year, as I think we mentioned earlier. That does feel then like a nice segue into the riders that are taking part this year. Although first, some business.
We have got some business to do. Special merch on sale this year to celebrate the biggest bike race on the planet. T-shirts, 2 of which we are sporting today on the show. These were our best sellers last year, incidentally, so we brought them back, but there will be new designs of T-shirts launching very soon as well.
Yeah, stay tuned, GCN, for those, or indeed keep an eye on our website. We've also got a special print, which Dan has here. This is part of a trio of prints that make up our Grand Tour collection, and we're planning to launch another very exciting collection during July as well. Anyway, this one, like the others, is available in this, the A4 size, but also a larger A3 size as well, and it comes framed just as you see here.
We've also got a special edition Camelback water bottle, and there's a matching T-shirt for that in the shop too. You can find it all over at shop.globalcyclingnetwork.com or by simply scanning the QR code that will hopefully be on the screen right now.
I was going to say that's quite pro, having a T-shirt that matches your water bottle, but I think that's more pro than a pro. Like, don't normally get T-shirts that match water bottles.
No, we're truly pro, Si, for the first time in our lives.
Anyway,
all purchases made go towards funding the free-to-view videos that we make here at GCN, so we really appreciate it for that, but also for the support in general.
Absolutely, we do. OK, on to the riders. We will, of course, start with Tadej Pogačar, the reigning champion, 4-time winner, 21 stage wins, 50 days in the yellow jersey, and many, many more in the white and the polka dots.
Probably the green as well, but we can't really remember, can we?
Yeah, no.
So. Now, Pogačar has never finished worse than second overall at the Tour de France in 6 participations, and it doesn't look like he will anytime soon either, does it? In fact, the last time he lost a stage race that he started was 3 years ago at this very race.
Dan thought this was very impressive until he worked out that actually it's been almost 14 years since he started a stage race and didn't win it.
Exactly. So, although it was the same for you as well, didn't it?
It was, yeah.
And people say Pogačar's the GOAT.
Exactly, yeah.
Right, in all seriousness, he is the man to beat, obviously. He is showing no signs of slowing down, and he's showing no signs of losing any motivation.
No, in fact, in a recent interview, he said that he's better than ever, didn't he? Based on a test that he did on a climb in training, which is an ominous sign for his rivals.
Probably not exactly what they wanted to hear, was it? This year, he's raced 16 days ahead of the Tour de France and won 13 times. And although that includes 2 GC wins, it still means that he's crossed the line first in 11 of the 16 days that he's competed in this year so far.
Wow, 10. Technically, he crossed the finish line last in the Tour de Suisse time trial, but he did get the fastest time and so still won it.
Right. Technically, though, actually, Si, he didn't cross the finish line last that day because he passed Richard Carapaz of EF.
Damn it.
En route to victory.
I thought I'd got you there. All right.
You almost did.
Anyway, there is not a lot more you can say about Pogačar himself, is there? And it would be a surprise if he didn't win the race. I mean, it really would, wouldn't it? Yeah. So let's look at the team then that he's got to back him up.
Well, to see if that might mean he doesn't win. I mean, it doesn't look too weak, his team, does it, as you would expect?
No.
Isaac Del Toro will be his last man in the mountains. He's won 3 World Tour level stage races himself this season, including that race formerly known as the Dauphiné, as we mentioned earlier on in this preview.
Adam Yates will offer more valuable support in the high mountains. He finished on the podium of the Tour himself 3 years ago, didn't he? And then they've got McNulty, Wellens and Sivakov, all strong riders over all terrain. And then finally, Pollitt and Vermeersch to help keep him protected on the flatter stages.
And then blast the triple T on the opening day.
Smash the triple T.
Well. There's not really a weak link in that lineup when you look at it, is there? And that's even without the likes of Almeida and Narvaez, who they had last year.
Yeah, you never know though, do you? Because a crash took Almeida out last year.
Oh, yeah, true.
And there is a chance that a crash could reduce the strength of his team again this year, or, dare I say it, Pogačar himself.
Nature of the sport, unfortunately. Now, Pogačar's main rival will once again be Jonas Vingegaard. He did the Giro d'Italia back in May, another 3-week race, completing his collection of Grand Tours before even Pogačar himself had achieved that feat.
Yeah, so he really is going to be out for that Strava KOM, isn't he? With a points proof. Yeah. He didn't have much competition, Vingegaard, at the Giro, did he, if we're honest? Which means that he was able to win, in theory, without going too deep, which is going to be important since he wants to be as good or even better at the Tour de France.
Yeah. He himself, actually, Jonas Vingegaard, has got an unblemished record in stage racing since last August, having won La Vuelta there, then Paris-Nice this year, Catalunya, and the Giro as well. He's obviously a remarkable talent, and in many respects, he's been sort of unfortunate to have had his career at the same time as Pogačar.
Just thinking, you were unfortunate as well that there were just 160 other riders like Pogačar when you were racing the Tour de France.
It's bad luck. So.
I think, in all seriousness, he will be on great form for the Tour, won't he? But he has done more than twice the number of race days compared to Pogačar this year. So my only worry is whether he's going to pay for that in the final week.
Yeah, time will tell, I guess. But he has backed up the Tour de France before with solid form at the Vuelta in years past. So he can do it. He's shown us that. Now, Wout van Aert is not part of the team, as we said 3 times now, and that is for the first time ever for Jonas Vingegaard.
Whoa.
Yeah, unfortunately, he's got an infection in his elbow after a training crash, and it was decided he would not be in good enough form for the Tour de France.
Yeah, that's a massive blow for Jonas, isn't it?
Yeah.
And for the race overall, to be honest. But that doesn't mean that he doesn't bring strong support with him. So Visma were the first team to confirm their lineup this year. They've got Kuss, Jorgensen and Piganzoli for the high mountains, Amirai and Campenarts for the hilly days and the rolling terrain, and then Affini and Hagenese as bodyguards on the flat stages.
Yeah, so quite a similar style of team setup, I would say, to UAE in many respects, but probably not on a par. I mean, Piganzoli is the big surprise to me. He's been added to their lineup since Van Aert went out. He's only 23 years old. He went deep in support of Jonas at the Giro, and he's raced since as well at the Route d'Occitanie. Yes, he won that race comfortably, but that's quite a big programme for somebody of his age and a lot of pressure for a young rider at the Tour de France.
Well, is 23 young these days? I mean, it seems like it from where we're at, but in the pro peloton, I don't know. Now, fair play to him, though. I mean, he's going to be buzzing with excitement, isn't he?
Oh, man, I can't imagine how excited he is about doing the Tour.
Yeah. Do you think Jonas genuinely can beat Pogačar?
In a one-on-one fight on GC stages, no, if I'm being honest. And actually, no full stop. Pogačar is the complete package, so unless something untoward happens to him, he's going to win it, surely.
Wow. The bookmakers' odds reflect that as well, don't they?
They're really short odds.
Now, speaking of bookmakers' odds, the third favourite is a 19-year-old. Paul Success of Decathlon is a rising super talent who has been making waves in the sport this year, hasn't he? He won the Tour of the Basque Country, dominated the race, and he was the only rider to initially keep up with Pogačar when he attacked in Liège-Bastogne-Liège.
He was dropped later in that same race, but it's still got a lot of attention,
Yeah.
as you can imagine, for good reason. He is clearly capable of producing incredible power for his weight, and he's French.
Yeah. As such, the Tour de France, it's going to be a pressure cooker
Yes.
for him, isn't it? He is now carrying the hopes of a nation who haven't seen a home winner at the race in 51 years. And rumour has it, he got a call from the French president, didn't he, to keep him on a French team?
Yes, because there are rumours that he's going elsewhere at the end of his contract next year. At the end of next year, I should say. Anyway, it might all sound a little bit much for a 19-year-old, but he is no ordinary 19-year-old. Not only is he an immense physical talent, he's also someone who appears to thrive on pressure.
So what are you expecting from him this year's race?
I'm actually expecting him to be fighting for the third step of the podium. I think it's too early for him to string 3 weeks together as well as the two big dogs have been for the last 6 years. But from what I've seen of him, he could challenge the likes of Del Toro, Lipovic, Evenepoel and Ayuso for that third step. My only worry is how much energy he's used in recovering from a nasty crash he had at the race formerly called the Dauphiné. He didn't break any bones there, but he did lose a lot of skin.
He's 19 though, isn't he? You bounce back when you're 19. My main worry, particularly after that, is whether or not he can get through 3 weeks without crashing. Because it's not like we've seen him hit the deck a lot, but he is young and he's fearless. And that's not always a good thing in a 3-week race.
No, very true. Anyway, he's absolutely going to be one of the main talking points of the race, whatever happens to him through it. In terms of support, not quite as strong as UAE or Visma, but that's to be expected, really, because Decathlon are still building their squad.
He's got Riccitello, who will be a great help in the high mountain stages, plus Prodhomme and Bizio, and then Oul and Biziger to get him through the flat and the rolling terrain. Oh, and then also the legend that is Thijs Benoot.
Yes, he's back after illness or injury kept him out at the start of the season. There's also a decent chance they'll have a sprinter in their team in the form of Olaf Koy, but we'll get onto the sprinters later on in the preview show.
Yeah. I hope he does race. In part, part because it'll take some of the heat from Sectas, won't it? Okay, the fourth favourite is Remco Evenepoel.
Yes, I was personally a bit surprised that he's fourth favourite. Obviously, he's a mega talent, but his recent performances in stage races haven't left me with the feeling that he's going to challenge for the win. And I think there are others who have a better chance at the podium.
His teammate, Lipovic?
Yeah, Del Toro, Sexas, Lipovic, because Evenepoel hasn't finished on the podium at the World Tour stage race since he was third in the Tour de France 2 years ago. In that time, Florian Lipovic has finished on the podium of a World Tour stage race 6 times.
Oof. Now, interestingly, their team manager at Red Bull, Bora Hansgrohe, gave an interview recently in which he said that Evenepoel is going to be the leader, whilst Lipovic is going to be a kind of second man, which I did think that was a bit harsh.
Yeah, absolutely is harsh. They should both be leading that team. Now, Lipovic doesn't have these sort of sensational rides and the explosivity that Evenepoel has, but he's much more consistent. In fact, he's one of the most dependable riders in the entire peloton, I'd say, at the moment.
Well, two-pronged attacks don't often prove to be that effective, do they? But I do hope they end up going with that strategy.
I hope so as well. I mean, maybe they're just keeping Lipovic a bit more protected. He doesn't seem like he likes the limelight.
Whereas Evenepoel does?
I think so, don't you? He certainly doesn't mind it as much, does he? So from that point of view, it could work for Lipovic to be more in the shadows in the background.
I don't want to be harsh about Lipovic, but you did say a couple of weeks ago in a GCN show that you couldn't ever see him putting in a stinging attack in the mountains and dropping everyone.
No, I can't. I still can't.
Whereas with Evenepoel, he is so talented and still youngish that you kind of wouldn't be surprised if he launched a stinging attack. So you can see why they've gone with Evenepoel.
Kind of, yeah. I wouldn't be surprised to see it on one day or maybe 2 stages, but I'd be equally non-surprised if he dropped 10 minutes on another day. That's why if you had to ask me to put my house on which one of those two would finish on the final podium, or even just higher up in the GC, right now I'd say Lipovic.
Yeah, I would agree. But if you asked which one was most likely to win, I'd be like, probably Evenepoel. You could imagine if the planets aligned, he could get it together.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that's what makes it exciting with him, right?
Well, it is, yeah. Yeah, absolutely it is. We should say Red Bull have a strong team around those two as well, shouldn't we? Van Giels, who was great at the Dauphiné, or the race formerly known as the Dauphiné.
Rhone Alps.
Tratnik, Hindley for the high mountains, and then the likes of Cataneo, Van Dijk and Dens for the rolling and the flat terrain.
Solid, yeah. Not completely confirmed as we record this, at least. Danny Martinez should also be there to support in the mountains, you'd have thought. Right, fifth favourite on the bookmakers is Del Toro, who we've already mentioned, but I think he does have a really good chance of a podium position, even if he is working for Pogacar. Then after him, it's Lipovic, and after him, it is Juan Ayuso of Lidl Trek.
He's had an up and down kind of a season, hasn't he? An up and down kind of a career, actually.
True, yeah.
But he was third recently in the race formerly known as the Dauphiné, and he was also leading Paris-Nice in March before crashing out, and he'd already won in Algarve before that as well.
Again, he's a mega talent. He just needs a bit more consistency. I guess more of a consistent run of both training and racing to really get to his best, in my opinion. That said, I'm quite confident in Ayuso. I think he stands a great chance of a top 5 this year and a half-decent chance of the final podium.
Is this because one of your hot takes at the start of the year was that Juan Ayuso would stand on the podium of the Tour de France?
It might be partly that.
Yeah. He's got Matthias Skjelmoser, who was a brilliant teammate to him at the Dauphiné, race formerly known as, and then Matthias Vacek, who finished third at the Tour de Suisse.
I know, he's an absolute beast, that guy, as is Quinn Simmons. The team is then rounded off with Ciccone, Krauss Anderson and Pedersen, who again we'll get onto later on.
After that, there is a very big jump in odds. So Ayuso is 40-1. The next favourite is Pinarello Q36.5's Tom Pidcock at 100-1. So long odds, despite his third place at the Vuelta last season. He's still got something to prove, hasn't he, in Grand Tours?
Yeah, it does feel like people think that way, doesn't it? Even after that podium at the Vuelta, which I guess you can understand. There's a couple of setbacks with injury and illness this year, of course, too, which hasn't helped his prep. But he has won 4 races on the road despite that, including a recent Mountains One-Day Classic in Andorra. I don't see him finishing on the podium, though.
No, me neither. But I would like to see him light it up at some point.
You absolutely will, yeah.
Yeah, you would think, wouldn't you? Next on the list was Oscar Onley of Net Company Ineos. However, he has sadly not been able to recover from a massive crash at the Dauphiné, or the race formerly known as. So he is unfortunately out.
Yeah, he's not had a smooth year at all, really, has he? He must be gutted. In fact, I think he said that. They've also got new recruit Kevin Vauquelin, who was top 10 in last year's Tour de France, but his form in the high mountains recently looked dubious. Although that was explained afterwards when it was found out he had a bacterial infection. But of course, that doesn't mean he's going to be in top form in time for the Tour de France.
No, not good news for the team, but they do have Carlos Rodriguez and Tymon Arensman as well, although the latter has already done the Giro this year.
Yeah, being realistic, I think they're going to have to focus on stage wins this year, if I'm being perfectly honest, rather than the GC. And on that front, they also have Ganna, Godon and Kwiatkowski.
Is that TT a bit hard for Ganna?
Possibly, yeah.
Ouch. Okay, next up, we got Tobias Johansson of Uno X, 6th at last year's race. He's such a solid rider.
Yeah, he's unbelievable.
This year, he's been 9th in the UAE Tour, 4th at Tirreno, 3rd in the Basque Country, and 5th at the race formerly known as the Dauphiné.
He also rides in a really clever way because he sort of knows that despite the results he's got, people aren't watching him as closely as others. So he sort of manages to slip into moves that gain a fair chunk of time. I mean, not a worry for the people at the very top of the GC, but he does end up leapfrogging those further down it.
Yeah, no doubt he'll be going for the same strategy this year at the Tour, if he can, won't he? After Johansson, the odds balloon even more.
Yeah, massively. We've got the likes of Max Poole from Picnic Poster Mikel Landa from Soudal Quickstep, who starts his 25th Grand Tour.
Whoa.
If he starts on the Tour. Ken Altje-Brooks of Movistar, Antonio Tiberi and Lenny Martinez Bahrain victorious. Richard Carapaz of EF, who I think will probably go for stage wins and maybe the Mountains jersey again instead of the GC, but he might prove me wrong.
Yeah, Ben O'Connor is also going to be there. However, he has also already done the Giro. So again, probably more of a focus on stages than GC.
Yep. Godou will be there for Groupama, FDJ, and quite possibly the young talent Jano Vidar of Belgium and Lotto Intermarché too.
Okay. Should we move on to the sprinters?
Let's do it.
Okay, favourite for those stages will be Tim Merlier. He has proven time and time again over the last few seasons that he is the fastest in the world. And without Jonathan Milan there, he'll be feeling even more confident.
Yeah, he's going to be the main leader at Soudal Quickstep. They'll be banking on him getting stage wins. So a fair bit of pressure on his shoulders from that point of view. And yes, I agree. In a drag strip race to the line, it's quite rare that he's beaten on a pure sprint stage.
Yeah, thankfully, not all sprints are drag strip races to the line. Tactics and positioning always come into play. And as such, there are plenty of sprinters who have a great chance of winning stages. Olaf Koy
if he does it.
Top of that list, yeah. Despite having never raced the Tour de France before.
Or, I know he's done a Grand Tour, I think. And the reason for that is because he was riding for Visma, that he's never done a Tour de France before. They obviously were fully concentrated on GC, so he moved to Decathlon, who are now starting to fully concentrate on GC.
Sexas's rise came at exactly the wrong time for Coy, didn't it?
Yeah, kind of. I'm glad that Coy is going to get a chance this year, and I think he will win at least one stage if he does it, because he is an incredibly fast finisher.
Yeah, Jasper Philipsen has won 10 stages at the Tour in his career, and the green jersey too. Not quite as fast as Millier,
No, he's not.
but he does know how to win, and often does.
He does, yeah. Plus, he's got Mathieu van der Poel in his lead-out train as well, which is a slight advantage over the others.
Yeah, exactly. And Caden Groves as well, all being well. So I'd be very surprised if he went home without a win, basically, unless he crashes out like he did last year.
Crashed out after he'd won a stage.
Well, fair,
Okay. Yeah, I agree. Next up, another former green jersey winner, Biniam Girmay of Team NSN. He beat Millier and most of the others we've just mentioned in the opening stage of the Tour of Belgium recently, which would have given him a lot of confidence. Again, doesn't have quite the speed of the very best, at least not as consistently anyway. But I still fancy his chances of a stage win and possibly another tilt at the green jersey if all goes well.
Yeah, he'll have Askey and Stewart as lead out, won't he? On then to Mads Pedersen of Lidl Trek. He's won 2 stages of the Tour in the past, but neither was from a big bunch.
No.
One from break and one from a reduced bunch of around 60 riders.
Yeah, possibly slightly unfair on him because he did outsprint some really quick riders that day in Limoges ahead of the 60 riders. But I think he'd admit himself, actually, he's not the quickest sprinter. What he is, though, is an absolute beast on a bike. I mean, that guy's got power for days. So he can be in with a chance of winning when most other sprinters can't.
Yeah, he's also said he's eyeing the green jersey, which is a possibility, even though he won't be perhaps the big favourite for that jersey.
Yeah. Next up, Arnaud Delis, the big Belgian of Lotto and Intermarché. We could literally get anything from that guy. He could bag 3 stages, or he could go home after 3 stages, having finished outside the time limit or something.
Yeah, it's a shame there aren't more punchy finishes for him.
Yeah.
Didn't he do close to 1,000 watts for a minute? Just a few
Not
weeks
quite,
ago?
but yeah, certainly not far off at the Tour de Wallonie, I think it was, isn't it? When he's at his best, he's a very hard man to beat. But the trouble is, he's not at his best as often as he could or should be.
Yeah. Dorian Godon will be sprinting for Net Company, won't he? He's picked up some big wins this year, despite not being a pure sprinter himself. And then there's the likes of Pavel Bittner of Picnic, Max Kantner of Astana, Soren Varenshold and Magnus Kort of Uno X, Fretin Coquard and Beermans of Cofidis, and Molinar of Caja-Rural.
Yeah, Caja-Rural doing it for the first time in years. Right, almost done then, but there are a few notable mentions still to go, one of which we've already mentioned, Van der Poel. There doesn't seem to be many stages that suit him this year, certainly not as many as last year's race, but he will want to put a show on more than one occasion, you can be sure of that.
I think so.
EF's Ben Healy, stage winner of course, and yellow jersey wearer last year. He'll pick and choose his stages carefully, but when he goes, watch out.
Yeah.
Teammate at EF, Alex Baudin, is also clearly on great form as well.
Yeah, Mate Mohoric will no doubt have circled a few stages that suit him. Jon Izagirre of Cofidis, he's in the same boat, isn't he? Fred Wright might finally get his first pro win outside of a national championships for Pinarello Q36.5. That would be cool.
I'd love to see that, yeah.
Yeah. Lennart van Etvelt of Lotto will be great on the medium mountain days, we think. And so too will teammate Georg Zimmermann.
Likewise, Luke Plapp of Jayco Alula. Then Valentin Paripant and Alain Van Wilder for the breakaways in the mountains for Soudal Quickstep. Watch out actually as well for Alpecin Premier Tech's Emile Verstringer. He's really strong in this race last year, cyclocross rider, but I think he'll be in breakaways. Guillaume Martin is constantly anonymous, but picks up some pretty good results along the way. Whilst Movistar will be looking for stage wins with Adria and Castrillo.
Yeah, shame that Romeo isn't able to start for him, isn't it? He is still recovering from illness, we think. Michael Matthews will be keen to put an injury-plagued season behind him. And Frank Vandenbroek will be hoping to emulate the form that saw him riding so well 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's not been the same. Wow, you remember him riding to the finish with Romain Bardet and helping into the win and the yellow jersey on the first stage, but he's not been quite the same since. Tejada, Fortunato and Higuita will be looking for stage wins for XDS Astana, whilst Tudor have Alaphilippe, Trentin and hopefully Kung too after that horrific injury in the Classics. Gregoire and Madouas will be looking for stage wins for Groupama FDJ. Yeah,
just finally then, watch out for Jonas Abrahamsson as well. In fact, all of Uno X, they are stage hunting experts, aren't they? Okay, We've definitely missed some big name riders.
Can't miss many, that was a lot of names.
That was a lot of names, yeah. There are 184 riders in the race, though, aren't they? And pretty much all of them are big names these days.
Yeah.
Not like 2010. So we apologise if we have missed your favourites, or in fact, if you're one of those riders that we've missed.
Right, just before we wrap up this preview show, we've of course got our predictions to do. Let's do yellow, green, white and polka dot.
Crikey. All right, you go first. I need some time to think.
All right, Pogačar, Philipsen, Sixas and Pogačar.
Well, that was very decisive, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You've been giving this some thought, haven't you?
I have, yeah. I've not left you much time to think.
No, okay. Well, Pogačar, obviously, for the win. I'm going to back Pedersen for green. I think that would be pretty cool. What was next? White?
White, yeah.
Del Toro.
Yeah, good shout. Good shout.
Thanks. And then polka dots. Casse-Pattes.
Yeah, also a good shout.
Nice
one. Right, let's hear what the international presenters are thinking is going to happen at the race this year in terms of the yellow jersey.
Hey team! So my prediction for the Tour de France is Jonas Vingegaard first, Paul Sixas 2 and Remco de Poel 3. Maybe Tadej Pogačar gonna have some mechanical problem.
I will go with Tadej Pogačar. I think everyone is doing that. But I would also see Florian Lippopis on the podium. Would be nice.
For me, my pronostic is Tadej Pogačar.
Our prediction for the winner of Tour de France men is
Tadej Pogačar.
It's pretty simple. Also because
he's too strong.
He's too strong, and what we have seen during the Tour de Suisse was really incredible.
Quite impressive, yeah.
Tadej Pogačar is going to win the Tour de France, but I'm cheering for Florian Lippopis.
Interesting.
Kind of, I suppose. Right, that basically wraps up our big GCN Tour de France preview for another year.
Yeah, we hope you have enjoyed it. We know you will enjoy the race, as will we. So we will see you soon.
Welcome to Eurobike, one of the biggest bike shows in the world. As always, I'm here